Hello YouTube! Welcome to Red Ang Revival. Welcome to this episode of 5 good points and 5 bad points of the Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro. Now, without any further ado, I have this bike for a couple of days, and the first good point of this Triumph, to me, it took me a while to warm up to it, but the first point is the engine. It's an absolute peach. Whee! So, what are we talking? It's a 900, obviously, cc triple engine with the T-plane crank in it. I hope I get my figures right, I'll pop them up on the screen, but it's 94 brake horsepower and 87 newton meters of torque, which is not crazy power figures, but it is plenty from being used to riding a Speedmaster. Seriously, this is it's a nice motor, this. Plenty of power for overtaking just like that. Really don't need any more than that. The T-plane, it makes it more characterful, this motor. It gives it a bit of that more low down torque, which is nice, but it's also got that smoothness to it. Yeah, I am a really big fan of this engine. If you haven't tried it, guys, I really recommend it. And try and ask the dealer if you can get more than an hour to get used to it. It takes a while to get used to it, but once you are, it's a peach. It really is a nice motor, and I should imagine the new 1200 Tiger will be very, very special. So yeah, number one, the motor. Okay guys, so on to point 2, straight into it. The suspension and handling on this is really very good, actually. I don't believe, anyway, it's electrically adjustable. It's just done, the preload and so on is done manually with these little clickers at the front, but the way I've picked it up from Triumph, the setup on it, it's really nice. I was really concerned about the Rally Pro as to whether I'd like it. I love the looks of the Rally Pro with that more sort of, enduro-y, off-roady look. I think it looks really cool. But the GT Pro is obviously more road focused, and I was concerned that the suspension on here wouldn't be as good, might be a bit soft and wallowy, but to be honest, not a problem. Really impressed. It rides really nicely, even with that bigger suspension. So yeah, point 2, suspension and handling, it is surprisingly good on this. I am really impressed. It's a lovely hill up here, by the way, this just in the Surrey Hills outside of London. Lovely area for riding if you're around this area. So the suspension, the front suspension, it's 47mm of travel. Upside down Marzocchi forks, so real premium quality suspension there, and you can feel it. It's such a comfortable, capable bike, it really is. And the rear suspension's 170mm travel for the rear wheel, so it's plenty there. And I haven't taken this off-road, it's not my bike, but it feels like it can go off-road, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense. It feels really fun. It feels like a big dirt bike that's awesome on the road, comfortable, capable, that you can also take off-road and have a blap around. Alright, moving on to point 3. And this is actually a really big one, really big point, I think. It's one of the first things I noticed, other than the engine. That took time to grow, but this was immediate, and it's the weight of the bike. So it weighs 192 kilograms dry, which is considerably lighter than my Speedmaster. In the garage at the moment, getting mended, that's why I got this bike. And yeah, and I suppose not direct competition, but the 1200 GS is, I think it's, forgive me, it's top of my head, I think it's 216 kilograms. But yeah, I mean, whether they hide the weight well, but it's a pretty light bike, and when you're on it, you really can feel it. It feels awesome, and that comes onto the sort of ties in with the suspension, because you got that great on-road, but then I would have thought good off-road as well. The suspension, it feels like it would be, along with that light weight, it gives you that sort of powerful dirt bike feeling, like you stand up. It's a great standing up right. Can't talk. It's a great standing up riding position. So you can do, you know, it feels like it's fun. It feels like you're on a dirt bike, just having great fun as well as a very capable tourist. Alrighty, moving swiftly on. This is a funny angle to number 4. Good point. And actually, it took me a while to think of this, but when I did think of it, I thought, oh yeah, no brainer. It's the tech. The tech of the bike is, especially for me coming off of the Speedmaster, but modern bikes these days are just incredible. Like, it's got everything you need, pretty much. I can't think of anything else I would need, really. So I'm not going to go through all of the tech points because there's so much, but as standard on the Rally Pro and I believe the GT Pro, you get your heated grips, heated seats, heated pillion seat for your pillion, so that's good, taking care of the pillion. You've got cruise control. It's not adaptive, but you can on a button push it up and down to adjust the speed by 1 mile an hour. Yeah, you've got automatic. It's just a luxury. There's automatic dog barking. It's Christmas, everyone's out, so busy. Yeah, there's automatic tyre monitoring system on it. When I'm riding around on the Speedmaster, I think, oh, I'm a bit concerned, you know, with the tours I'm doing. It would be good to, I have to check the tyres regularly basically, but on this, on the screen, you can just flick through it digitally. Yeah, and it gives you your tyre pressures in bar immediately. Red Ang Revival, we're getting a bit of an audience there, getting famous guys. Not joking. So really quickly, on the left side handlebar, you've got your mode button here. Allows you to toggle through your modes: rider, rain, sport, road, off-road. I'll flick through them. This is your indicator, horn obviously. This little toggle here is really good. It's just like left, right, up, down and in, and you can just flick through the different modes on the screen, which is quite intuitive. That if you're coming around the back side, I find these really clear and really useful. This is your heated seat button. 2 settings, I think. Literally just a press of the finger and it's on. This is your fog lights. Press of that and they're on as well. It sounds simple, but I really like that. It's really easy and intuitive to use those 2 buttons, I think. What else have we got on here? We've got the cruise control here, so down to set and then up or down to change your speed. Works flawlessly. This is your lights, and again, really simple, but just here, the button for your heated grips. You just press it, 3 stages of heated grips. Amazing. Okay, moving on to point 5. The final good point. Well, it's not the final good point, it's just you can only do so many good points, or so many points in a video. We'd be here for days. My last good point I've thought of, I think, are the looks of the bike. Yeah, especially in this green and white specification. I think it looks mega with the gold forks at the front. Really cool looking bike. Very impressed with it. If you know, looks are subjective, so if you don't like your adventure style looking bikes, then you're probably not going to like the look of this, but for an adventure bike and a general just nice looking motorbike, I think it looks great with the spoked wheels, gold forks, paint specs, and much better than the previous model, the 800. I didn't like the previous 800 Tiger, unfortunately. I just didn't like the look of that at all, but this one's so much better. It looks really nice. Yeah, I mean, the specification's great on this one, but compared to the previous model, I think they've done such a good job on with the lights at the front, just thinning those down, giving them a bit of an angle. Looks more sort of aggressive possibly, but in a good way, and a lot sleeker. Yeah, it's a much better looking bike. That's the good points done. Now sadly, we're just going to get on to a few of the little niggles and bad points of the Tiger 900. Let's find out what they are. Alright guys, we had to get there. That's the good points over. Should have done it the other way around really. On to the bad points. We're on the move again, and I really struggle to find the bad points. I don't like thinking of the bad points, but you just have to look at it objectively, and the number 1 bad point I've come up with, now I know my number 1 good point was the engine, so it's slightly contradictory, but the number 1 bad point, which I'm actually warming to it not being a bad point, it's a confusing bad point, this one. Possibly the lack of character in the engine compared to a twin. if you get that. Bit of a weird one, but it's more of a potential bad point. If I can explain myself properly, the first time I rode this bike, which is my first triple as well, I was like, oh no, not for me really. I think it's a great bike, but I thought I'm really missing that that twin character, the torque, low down torque of a twin and the characterful thrum of the twin. And this engine does have, when you get used to it, it does have character. It's very characterful in its own way, and because of that T-plane crank, it's got lower down torque as well. But it's definitely not as characterful as a twin. So if you want a big thumpy, torquey motor, that will be a bad point for you. This is yeah, it's not that engine, I'm afraid. It's very smooth and characterful, but it's not like a, you know, Africa Twin or the Boxer GS, which I've never ridden, but I've ridden the forgotten it, R9T, that's the one. I've ridden that, and they're much more throaty and torquey low down. So yeah, that is a bad point if you want a twin. Ta-da! Hey! Where are we now? A little bit of change of scenery. I like mixing it up on these videos, get a bit of a ride in at the same time as a review. Why not? Keeps it interesting for you guys, hopefully. Where are we now? Number 2 on the bad list, the naughty list. Again, a tricky one, but a little controversial to my good list, shall we say. But if I spin you around, I'll show you what I mean. I know the technology was on my good list. For the naughty list this Christmas, the TFT screen on here, it is pretty complicated, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm not even I'll put a shot up of the different modes and a little bit of switching around of this screen, but you know, when you're riding along, you got your speeds, fairly straightforward and easy. Fuel here, you got your temp here, but then you got more info up here you can have. You can change the screen setting. There's different colours that the revs go up in. It's a little bit tricky. I won't go through all of the dash because there's just endless settings on it, and you're forever flicking around with numbers and toggles and buttons just to get to anything. So I think on the bad list, as well as the tech being so good, on that point a negative is it's quite complicated to use it, and when you first look at the dash, it's just like, what? Compared to my Speedmaster, like, what is going on here? Like, I can't even find the speed. What are the revs doing? I mean, it really is quite distracting until you get used to it. Having said that, now I'm used to it, I think I quite like it. I'm going back on it. I don't know, it is growing on me, but at the moment it's like half on the bad list. Okay, number 3 bad point of the Triumph Tiger 900. Surprisingly, it's a really comfortable riding position, but the seat, I find the seat, whether it's just my build, I find the seat quite uncomfortable, like chafing in your sort of groin area I'm getting, and yeah, a little bit of a numb bum as well. Bit strange, maybe it's because I'm used to my I think my bum's gone soft. Yeah, it's used to the Speedmaster's comfy seat, which I've got, really cushioning, but this is quite tough. I'm sure you can get more comfy seats for it, and you know, extra sort of, you can buy online things to put over seats to make it more comfy, but that's number 3 bad point. I do find the seat a little bit too hard. Okay, number 4 on the Santa's naughty list is, again, it's not a fully bad point, just depends what you want the bike for and your preferences really. Front tyre, front wheels, 21-inch rim, which for off-roading, spot on, it's really good. I've been in a few just gravelly car parks, which is not really off-roading properly, but you know, the bigger the front tyre, the better it's going to handle off-road and bumps and stuff, so it's a good point in that. I was a bit wary of it on road. I used to had an Honda Africa Twin 2016 model, and I didn't get on with that bike, to be honest. I think it was the front wheel was a lot of it, the 21-inch. It just didn't have that feel. Front end felt quite vague with that big 21-inch wheel, and I was worried about it on this. It is much better on this bike than my 2016 Africa Twin. The handling, like I say, it's a strong point on this bike. It's really good, but if you're 95%, 99, 100% on road, you'd probably be better off getting the GT with the 19-inch, I believe, 19-inch front wheel. Alright, thank God we're nearly over with the bad point. So the bad point for me on this Rally Pro version, which apart from the off-roading benefits of it, I don't really see a massive benefit of it, is if I hop on and demonstrate, oi, is the seat height. So the seat height on the Rally Pro is from 850 to 870 millimeters. As you can see, I'm sort of just on my tippy toes, as they're sometimes called, on my toes. And yeah, that can be, especially living in London, but you know, just turning around in a gravel lay-by like this, or on the road, or manoeuvring when you're still on the bike, it can make it a little bit difficult to get the grip and purchase with your feet to sort of manoeuvre the bike around. It's almost easier to get off of the bike, sort of manhandle it off when you're off the bike. Yeah, so that is 0.5 is the seat height is a negative point. Okay guys, so I hope that was useful to you. 5 good points and 5 bad points of the Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro. Now I'm giving this bike back tomorrow and getting my Speedmaster back from the garage. Yeah, and we shall see how that goes after a bit of damage it took. But thank you for watching very much. If you like the vid, guys, please don't forget to subscribe and like the channel. Until next time, stay happy, get in the Christmas spirit. Oh, ho, ho. Just before we go, I think it's probably best I do a conclusion to what I think of the bike. I think it is absolutely fantastic. After all of the bad points I mentioned and the good points weighed up, this is a quality motorbike. Really recommend it. Cheers guys, that is it now. Merry Christmas. Whoa, ho, ho, ho.